There is something quietly powerful about a person who can change their mind fast. Most people think changing your mind means you were wrong, weak, or unsure of yourself. But psychology reveals something very different about how the sharpest minds actually operate. Smart people do not cling to old beliefs just to protect their ego from feeling exposed. They update quickly, quietly, and without drama, because truth matters more than being right. By the end of this, you will understand why fast mental updates reveal real intelligence. You will also see why most people stay stuck defending opinions they secretly already doubt. Watch closely, because this pattern explains a lot about confidence, growth, and emotional maturity. Most people confuse stubbornness with strength, but psychology shows the opposite is actually true. Holding a belief tightly, even when proven wrong, is not strength. It is fear in disguise. The fear of looking foolish keeps the average mind locked inside outdated thinking patterns. Smart people learn something subtle. Their identity is not built on being permanently right. Their identity is built on seeing clearly, even when seeing clearly means correcting themselves. That single shift changes everything about how they think, speak, and respond under pressure. When new information arrives, they do not feel attacked. They feel curious and slightly alert. Average minds treat new information as a threat to defend against with emotion and resistance. Sharp minds treat new information as a tool to refine their thinking faster than others. This is why smart people seem calm during debates that emotionally destabilize everyone else around them. They are not trying to win the moment. They are trying to upgrade their understanding. Psychology suggests this flexibility is one of the strongest signs of real cognitive maturity. It shows the nervous system is regulated enough to handle truth without collapsing into defensiveness. Most people cannot do this because their self-worth is silently tied to their opinions. If their opinion is wrong, they secretly feel that they themselves must be wrong too. So they defend ideas they no longer believe just to protect a fragile inner identity. Smart people separate themselves from their thoughts, and that separation gives them quiet, grounded power. They can say, "I used to think that, but now I see it differently, easily." That sentence feels impossible for insecure minds because changing their view feels like personal failure. This is the hidden reason many people stay stuck in beliefs that no longer serve them. They are not protecting truth. They are protecting the version of themselves attached to it. Here's what is really happening underneath. The brain craves consistency more than it craves accuracy. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, the discomfort you feel when new facts challenge old beliefs. Average minds reduce that discomfort by rejecting the new information and clinging harder to the old. Smart minds reduce that discomfort by updating the belief and releasing the outdated mental story. That single difference, repeated over years, creates two completely different lives and two different futures. One person becomes sharper, freer, and more emotionally stable as time and experience keep adding up. The other becomes more rigid, more defensive, and more disconnected from how reality actually works. You can see this pattern in everyday life if you start watching people a little closer. Notice the person who repeats the same opinion for years, no matter what evidence appears around them. Notice the person who quietly says, "I changed my mind on that," without shame or hesitation. That second person is almost always more grounded, more respected, and more emotionally secure inside. Their willingness to update is not weakness. It is a subtle form of advanced inner strength. There is another hidden reason smart people change their minds fast that most viewers never realize. They value clarity more than approval, so they do not need others to validate their thinking. When you stop needing validation, you stop defending ideas just to keep your social image safe. You start asking a quieter, sharper question. Is this actually true, or do I just want it to be? That question is dangerous to the ego, but it is the doorway to real intelligence and growth. Most people never ask it because the answer might force them to rebuild parts of themselves. Smart people ask it constantly, and that is why their thinking keeps evolving while others stay frozen. You may have noticed something subtle in yourself when someone proves a small belief of yours wrong. There is a quick flash of heat, defensiveness, or the urge to argue, even on tiny things. That reaction is not about the topic. It is your nervous system protecting your sense of self. The moment you notice that flash without acting on it, you step into a new level of awareness. You realize that discomfort is information, not instruction, and you do not have to obey it. That single noticing skill separates emotionally reactive people from those with quiet, sharp mental clarity. Psychology suggests that intelligent people do not avoid being wrong. they simply recover from it faster. They do not see being wrong as a wound. They see it as ordinary, useful feedback. This is why they can change direction mid-conversation without feeling embarrassed or socially exposed. Average minds treat being wrong as a small public debt, so they defend instead of adjusting. Smart minds treat being wrong as a small private upgrade, so they adjust instead of defending. You can train this. You can build the same flexibility, even if you grew up around rigid thinking. The first shift is realizing that your opinions are not you. They are tools, not identity. Tools can be replaced when better ones appear. Identity feels permanent and dangerous to question. When you separate the tool from the self, changing your mind stops feeling like losing yourself. It starts feeling like upgrading the tools you use to understand life, people, and yourself. The second shift is learning to slow down the moment you feel defensive about a belief. That defensiveness is a signal that something inside you is being protected, not necessarily something true. Pause, breathe. Ask yourself, what if the opposite is partly correct, even just a little? That single question loosens the grip of the ego and lets new information actually enter. Most people never ask it, so their thinking stays the same shape for decades without growing. The third shift is noticing how often your strongest opinions came from emotion, not careful reasoning. You absorb many beliefs from family, peers, fear, embarrassment, or moments you barely remember now. Smart people audit their beliefs gently, asking, did I choose this or did I inherit it? That question alone can quietly transform how you see politics, relationships, money, and your own potential. You stop defending borrowed beliefs and start choosing beliefs that match the person you are becoming. The fourth shift is letting yourself say 3 quiet words that most people secretly find terrifying. I was wrong, or I changed my mind, or I see it differently now. These small sentences feel heavy at first, but they get lighter the more honestly you use them. Each time you say them, you prove to yourself that your worth is not tied to being right. That proof slowly rewires the nervous system to feel safe with truth instead of threatened by it. The fifth shift is the deepest one, and it changes how you experience disagreement with other people. You stop seeing conversations as battles to win and start seeing them as mirrors to learn from. Even people you disagree with can show you blind spots you did not know you had. You do not have to accept everything they say. You only have to stay open enough to notice. That openness is not weakness. It is the quiet confidence of someone who is not afraid to grow. Here is the identity reframe most people need to hear at this exact point in their life. If you change your mind often, you are not flaky, lost, confused, or somehow secretly broken. You are someone whose thinking is alive, not someone whose thinking has been frozen by fear. Many people around you stopped updating years ago, and they call that consistency or being principled. But real principles can survive new information. Fragile beliefs cannot, so they get defended instead. Your willingness to update means your mind is still breathing, still moving, still becoming sharper. That is not something to apologize for. That is something to quietly protect for the rest of your life. There is one practical shift you can use starting today, and it is surprisingly simple to apply. When someone challenges your view, do not respond immediately with defense, agreement, or emotional reaction. Instead, say, let me think about that, and actually mean it for the next few hours. That short sentence buys your mind space to reason without your ego standing guard at the door. You will be amazed how often, after honest reflection, your view becomes clearer, softer, or completely new. Over time, this habit alone will make you noticeably wiser than people who react instantly to everything. It will also become harder to manipulate because manipulators rely on emotional reactions, not thoughtful pauses. Smart people are not smart because they always know the answer the moment a question appears. They are smart because they know how to sit with not knowing without panicking inside themselves. That ability to tolerate uncertainty is one of the most underrated forms of real intelligence today. In a world addicted to instant opinions, the person who pauses becomes quietly powerful in every room. You start to notice how loud certainty often hides shallow thinking, while quiet doubt often hides depth. The people most afraid of being wrong are usually the people most loudly insisting they are right. The people most willing to be wrong are usually the people you eventually trust the most. That trust is built slowly. There's small moments where they updated themselves instead of defending an image. You can become that person in your relationships, your work, your family, and your own private thinking. It does not require high intelligence. It requires honesty, humility, and a small amount of daily courage. Courage to look at a belief and ask, is this still true for who I am now? Courage to release ideas that no longer fit the deeper, clearer version of you that is emerging. Courage to admit, sometimes only to yourself, that you saw something incorrectly for a very long time. That kind of courage is rare, and that is exactly why it sets certain minds apart from the rest. So if you are someone who changes your mind when better information arrives, do not feel ashamed of it. That flexibility is not a flaw in your character. It is one of your most valuable mental traits. Protect it, strengthen it, use it carefully, and it will keep upgrading your life in quiet, lasting ways. The people who matter most will respect you more, not less, for being honest about your evolving views. And the people who mock it usually do so because they cannot do it themselves without feeling threatened. If this resonated with you, take a quiet moment to reflect on one belief you may be ready to update. And if you want more insights like this, stay close to the channel, because clearer thinking is a slow, beautiful build.